Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first, Qualcomm acquires Arduino, challenging Nvidia with a $45 board to win the grassroots robotics community. We'll explore how this bottom-up strategy could disrupt the AI chip market and challenge Nvidia's dominance. Second, OpenAI's Figma integration sparks a 7% stock rally, signaling the rise of a conversational app store. We'll break down what this new ecosystem means for developers and the future of software discovery. Third, how a single-tracked iPhone uncovered a crime ring smuggling 40,000 devices to China annually. This discussion will reveal how this illicit supply chain works and what it means for global device security. Fourth, why a new opera frames the AI revolution as a 200-year-old war, questioning if the Luddite fallacy still holds. So we'll discuss why AI's impact on cognitive jobs is a turning point and what it means for the future of work. Fifth, Rivian bets $5 billion on a new factory for its $45,000 R2 model to enter the mainstream EV market. We'll analyze why this high-stakes gamble is a turning point for the company's global scaling and profitability. Chip giant Qualcomm just made a move that puts it on a direct collision course with Nvidia for the soul of the robotics industry. You might recall our previous discussions on Nvidia's big picture strategies, like its massive investment in Intel. Well, this latest development shifts the fight from top-down supply chains to the grassroots layer where robots actually get built. The company announced it's acquiring Arduino, the Italian electronics maker, whose circuit boards are the go-to for hobbyists and startups. This isn't just a simple purchase. It's a strategic play to embed itself into the very foundation of tech development. Instead of locking in factories, Qualcomm is locking in the community. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, you have Nvidia, which built its powerful but proprietary Jetson platform, a walled garden where they give you the tools, but you have to live within their walls. On the other, you have Qualcomm, which just bought its way into an existing beloved open source community. They aren't building a developer army from scratch. They're acquiring one, aiming to capture the hearts and minds of a global network of creators. For years, getting access to powerful Qualcomm chips was tough for smaller developers. This deal changes everything. For the first time, Arduino will release a board with a Qualcomm chip, and the price is an absolute bombshell, just $45 to $55. For that, developers get a processor that can run Linux and perform computer vision, a key function for AI. This is a direct challenge to Nvidia, whose similar kit started a much steeper $249. The new pressure point is price and accessibility at the workbench level. This move democratizes access to serious AI. For a long time, the go-to for hobbyists has been something like a Raspberry Pi. That's great, but this new Arduino board brings powerful capabilities to a price point that was previously unthinkable. It unlocks a whole new category of creativity for students, artists, and garage inventors to build things that were once priced out of reach. Think smarter home security cameras or custom AI assistants. So what's the real end game here? Qualcomm is aggressively diversifying away from the slowing smartphone market. Its automotive and IoT businesses already account for 30% of chip sales, and this acquisition is meant to supercharge that growth. The company is betting that if it can win the loyalty of builders when they're just starting out, those builders will stick with Qualcomm when their experiments become commercial products. The cleverness of this strategy is that it's fundamentally different from their other big bets. In the auto world, Qualcomm makes deals with massive car companies, a traditional B2B model, but acquiring Arduino is a community play. It creates a long-term defensive moat. If you become the default choice for an entire generation of engineers, your competitors can't just steal your market share with a better sales pitch. You're embedded in the culture, but that's not the whole picture. A top Qualcomm executive went on the record with a bold promise stating, "My success criteria is that the Arduino ecosystem doesn't even feel that there is any change in ownership here. It's a high-stakes pledge to not interfere with the community." We've seen this before, of course. Sometimes it works out beautifully, like when Microsoft bought GitHub. Other times, not so much, like Oracle's purchase of MySQL, which sparked fear and a community-driven alternative. Qualcomm is walking a tightrope. By acquiring the gateway to the robotics world, it's making a calculated bet that the next major breakthrough will start not in a corporate lab, but in a garage, and it's positioning itself to power that revolution from the very first spark. Speaking of strategic plays that reshape industries, Figma's stock just had its steepest one-day rally since its public market debut. The reason? A single on-stage demo by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. At his company's Dev Day conference, Altman unveiled a game-changing integration. He showed how you can now sketch an idea and then simply tell ChatGPT, Figma, turn this sketch into a workable diagram. The Figma app then takes over and builds it for you right inside the chat. The implications here are huge because it represents a fundamental shift in the creative workflow. We're seeing the rise of AI as a junior partner in design, automating the repetitive tasks that often fall to entry-level designers. This potentially frees up everyone to focus on high-level strategic thinking. This single feature instantly puts Figma's tools in front of ChatGPT's staggering 800 million monthly users. The stock, unsurprisingly, jumped 7% on the news. This does raise a critical question, though. When you tell ChatGPT to make a diagram, it uses Figma, but what happens when other diagramming tools join the platform? Experts are calling this the AI gatekeeper problem. The concern is that AI could become a biased gatekeeper, favoring certain apps over others, maybe due to partnerships or even a pay-for-placement model. Ensuring fairness will be a major challenge. Now, here's where the situation takes a more complex turn. This isn't just about one cool feature. It's about a massive strategic play by OpenAI. Altman announced the new Apps SDK, a framework allowing any third-party app to plug directly into ChatGPT. This is a total paradigm shift. It's not like Apple's App Store where you browse icons. This new ecosystem is built on conversation. You just state your need in natural language, and the right tool is invoked automatically. It completely changes how we discover and use software. Developers will be able to submit their apps for review later this year, effectively creating a brand new app store built on the world's most popular AI. And OpenAI is already laying the groundwork for monetization. Altman confirmed the company will offer many ways for developers to generate revenue, most likely a revenue sharing system based on user engagement. This creates a powerful financial incentive for developers to build the most useful tools on the platform, echoing the launch of Apple's App Store that transformed mobile software. This follows another recent move allowing users to buy products from sites like Etsy directly through a ChatGPT conversation. The message is clear. OpenAI isn't just a chatbot anymore. It's rapidly becoming a foundational platform for the next generation of the internet. For companies like Figma, a primetime spot on the OpenAI stage is now one of the most powerful endorsements in tech. From the digital world of AI platforms, we now turn to the physical world, where tech hardware has a dark side. Now, get this. A single stolen iPhone, tracked by its owner on Christmas Eve, just blew the lid off an international crime ring suspected of smuggling 40,000 stolen phones to China in just 1 year. It all started when one victim used an app to trace their stolen phone to a warehouse near Heathrow Airport. What's interesting is that this kind of happy ending is incredibly rare. Police often can't act on real-time tracking data due to legal constraints and limited resources. This victim got very lucky. Inside, police didn't just find one phone. They found it in a box with nearly 900 others, all ready to be shipped to Hong Kong. That one discovery triggered what the Metropolitan Police is calling the UK's largest ever operation against phone theft, believing this single gang could be responsible for exporting up to one half of all phones stolen in London. The numbers are staggering. Street thieves were reportedly paid up to £300 per handset, but once those devices landed in China, they were being sold for as much as £4,000 each. And the reason these stolen phones are so valuable in China is fascinating. An iPhone bought there has software restrictions to comply with government regulations. Features like FaceTime audio are often disabled. A stolen UK iPhone doesn't have these locks. For a user in China, it's a golden ticket to a less restricted internet, which is why they're willing to pay such a premium. The profit is so immense, it's changing the criminal landscape. The UK's policing minister noted that some criminals are now stopping drug dealing to move into the phone business because it's simply more lucrative. It's all about risk versus reward. The legal penalties for phone theft are often far less severe than for drug trafficking. While the profits are enormous, organised crime is just making a business decision. The investigation escalated quickly, leading to raids, a dramatic mid-road car interception, and the discovery of over 2,000 stolen devices. So far, 18 suspects have been arrested. This crackdown comes as phone theft in London has almost tripled in the last 4 years. What this discovery ultimately exposed was a sophisticated, illicit reverse supply chain. These gangs use tactics like falsifying customs declarations to get devices out of the country, mirroring the logistics of legitimate global companies but operating entirely in the shadows. While police are grappling with the criminal use of today's technology, others are looking at the bigger picture, even turning to history and art to understand AI's societal impact. A new opera, for instance, argues the battle against AI isn't new at all. It's a 200-year-old war, and we're just living through the latest campaign. The production, The Last Machine Breaker, tells its story across two timelines, 1813 and 2030, directly contrasting the impact of today's AI with the upheaval of the Industrial Revolution. For decades, economists have dismissed these fears with the Luddite fallacy, the idea that technology always creates new jobs to replace the old ones. But here's where it gets interesting. Many argue that AI is fundamentally different. Unlike the machines that took over manual labour, AI is automating both physical and cognitive tasks. Studies suggest up to 38% of US jobs could be at risk by the early 2030s. For the first time, technology is competing with our minds, not just our muscles. The composer, Ben Crick, says he's been banging on about this for the last 5 years, warning that these challenges were coming. He notes, it obviously has knock-on effects for the communities, and this happened before in Huddersfield in 1812. The opera is even being staged in Marsden, the literal birthplace of the Luddites, the 19th century workers who smashed machinery they feared would destroy their livelihoods. So if the Luddites physically smashed looms, what does machine breaking look like today? Well, believe it or not, it's happening right now, just digitally. We're seeing everything from activists poisoning AI training data to adversarial attacks designed to confuse AI models. Even the unionization of data annotators is a form of modern resistance, a fight for human value in an automated world. The project frames this as a recurring test for society. The composer says technology forces us to ask a brutal question. What do we do with the people who aren't needed by the industry where technology replaces them? And this is where the history lesson gets really sharp. The response back then was brutal. The British government deployed the military and passed the Frame Breaking Act of 1812, which made smashing machines a crime punishable by death. Today, the conversation is completely different. We're hearing serious proposals for a universal basic income, or UB. I often from the very AI pioneers who see the potential for mass displacement. The opera forces us to confront these life and death questions, which were first asked 200 years ago, and ask whether this time we'll have a better answer. Speaking of massive industrial shifts, one company is betting billions that it can lead the next one in the automotive world. The most unexpected news in the sector has to be this. A company facing weak demand and rising costs just broke ground on a new $5 billion factory. That company is Rivian, and this is a high-stakes gamble to reshape its future. Known for its $70,000 plus adventure vehicles, Rivian is pivoting hard to the mainstream market with its new R2, a smaller SUV starting around $45,000. The company's design chief said that while their first truck was designed through addition, the new R2 was designed through subtraction to hit that price. Now, subtraction here isn't just about a few missing features. The R2 is physically smaller than its bigger sibling, the R1S. When we place Rivian's approach alongside that of major automakers, the challenge becomes clear. Giants like Volkswagen use single modular platforms to create many different models, saving a fortune. Rivian, a startup that's not yet profitable, is doing it the hard way by developing a second platform from scratch. What really brought this to a head was the next development. At the R2 launch, Rivian dropped a total surprise, the R3, a rally-inspired hatchback. The company's chief design officer, Jeff Hammond, went on the record saying, "A lot of people were surprised on R3. It's not something that I think a lot of people would have guessed that Rivian would have done. The R3 isn't just a fun side project. It's a calculated strategic pivot. The smaller hatchback style is wildly popular in the European market. This is a clear signal that Rivian is looking to expand beyond its North American niche and compete on a global stage, targeting younger, more urban buyers." This isn't the first time Rivian has made a controversial design bet. Industry experts recall how the brand's now iconic headlights were initially polarizing. But as one editor at Car and Driver put it, a front end that is like no one else is probably a good thing. In today's crowded EV market, unique design is a business strategy. Distinctive lighting is one of the fastest ways to build brand identity. You know, a Rivian is a Rivian from a block away because of those lights. It creates what experts call a design moat, a visual trademark that separates them from the competition. That $5 billion bet on the new factory in Georgia reveals the ultimate goal: scale. CEO RJ Scaring stated it plainly at the construction site, saying, "We're building this into a 400,000 unit plant." The International Energy Agency projects the global EV fleet could reach 250 million cars by 2030, a fourfold increase. Rivian is betting $5 billion, not on today's market, but on capturing a meaningful piece of that massive future pie. It's a bet the company move, but if it pays off, it could make them a dominant force for years to come.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.